Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Sullivan. I am currently your AS president. Woo! And real quick, before we get started, I need to do a vibe check. I'm always the type of person that likes to do vibe checks, and this is just a great exercise to get people blood flowing in the arms. So, how are you feeling today? Thumbs up if you're feeling good. Thumbs to the side if it's getting late in the afternoon, and thumbs down, you're just not feeling it because you had classes all day, and you've been here all day. Why are you here? But I'm just kidding. All right, real quick, thumbs up. Okay, thumbs to the side. Thumbs down. Okay, I see a couple thumbs down. That's fine. That's totally fine. All right, well, welcome to the Student Town Hall with the Office of the President and the AS government. Yes, you have student representatives here to support you. My student representatives, can you please stand up real quick? Give them a round of applause. These are your student representatives, y'all. Okay. And this Student Town Hall, the purpose behind this Student Town Hall is to encourage y'all as students to use your voice. We're here to support you. And we want to make sure that we're hearing you voice your concerns, your thoughts, and your questions overall. Using your voice and in togetherness, figuring out how to do that moving forward. So that's the goal. Real quick, before we dive into the town hall, I want to kind of give y'all some quick updates on AS elections. Did y'all know AS elections are around the corner? Give a raise of hands to those of y'all that know what AS elections is. Okay. For those of y'all who don't know what AS elections is, it's the opportunity for you to vote for the next student representatives. Yes, you could be standing right here at this podium, taking in hot questions in a few minutes. Yes, that could be you. This could be you, or you could be sitting amongst the group. But it's a great opportunity for you to get involved and be in the highest level of student leadership. And I highly encourage y'all to take that action, take that initiative, and represent your students, represent your peers moving forward. Okay. And so April 2nd will be the day to vote. There's also, if you're part of student clubs and organizations, let me get a raise of hand if y'all are part of other student clubs and organizations or contract programs on campus. Revenue sharing is an opportunity for you to contribute to that. So when you vote, you're also contributing, allocating dollars to that student club or organization that you choose from. So it's a great opportunity for you to get involved. Make sure that you enlighten yourself on, if you don't know what revenue sharing is, okay? Because it'll give you a great opportunity to understand that. All right. So the first day of meeting the candidates will be March 26th. So you'll get the opportunity to meet some of the candidates that are running for office on April 2nd, okay? So make sure y'all don't forget that date. Make sure you vote April 2nd. It'll be a 24-hour period. So from April 2nd to April 3rd, 8 a.m. sharp. What happens after you vote? Yes, which is called revenue sharing. So you get to allocate student fees to different student orgs and clubs. It goes through a reimbursement process. Okay, less on that. But I encourage you, once again, to all use your voice today, tonight specifically. Definitely take the opportunity because we have a lot of important people here that are willing to hear what you have to say and also take into account your concerns and the questions that you have. I'd like to pass this on to President Perez. Thank you.
Thank you, President Sullivan. I'm super excited about it. So a couple housekeeping things. Morgan and the super talented people with the cameras told me I got to stand behind the podium. I said I'm not gonna. So I said I was gonna try, not going to. I'm not good at it. Also, I'm not cool like Chris is, so I appreciate you saying what a vibe check is. That helped me understand what it was. But at the same time, it made me super nervous because my friend Vice President Brundage gave me a side thumb. And so he's only doing okay. And there were some down thumbs, so we got to figure out how we turn those up. So we're going to talk to you personally later. I appreciate that. My name is Steve Perez. I have the privilege of serving as the president here at Chico State. And I say that very intentionally because I do consider it a privilege. I get to do really cool things. I get to work with really great people, and I get to work for the best students in the world, and that's you all. And I mean that in every sense of the word. And so part of the reason I'm excited about being here tonight, this evening, today, is an experience I had a number of years ago. It was in 2019. I got very fortunate, and I was able to go to Rwanda and do some really interesting things. But I also sat down, I was talking to one of the ministers in their government. And he said, they do this twice a year, and it's a countrywide open forum. And everybody sits there, all the ministers sit up in the front, and anybody in the country can come and ask questions or tell them something. And what I heard was, oh my goodness, we get to get all that information from people about what they're wondering about, what can make their lives better, how we can do better things. And what better way than to have you all sitting in the same room telling us, here's what's going well, here's what's not going great, how come you're doing it like this? And what we can do is either answer it or learn from it. And so that's why I'm super excited to be here today. There's a couple things. So I encourage you, ask away, talk to each other. If you don't understand something, ask us. Also, I sit in my office all day long, all by myself, wishing somebody would come by and ask me a question. So, okay, so we got to put more office hour appointments available. Lori, Ashley, and everybody who takes care of that stuff. So we'll put more on there. Come on by, though. If you have a question, send it to me. We want to make sure you understand why we're doing the things you're doing. Other times you ask a question, and we say, oh, that's a great question. I don't know why. And then maybe we change. So those are awesome things. Also today, though, I want to talk about our community agreements. This is something that we started working on as a university over a year ago. And it comes out of various things that were happening on campus, happening across the system, happening across the state. But what it means is this is a conversation we're having with each other about how we want to treat each other. And so a task force or a working group, I put that together last spring. They came, I'm looking around, I'm not sure if you were on this task force, if you wouldn't mind raise, also Chris, we raise paws here at Chico State, we don't raise hands. All right, so raise your paw if you were on the working group. I don't know if anybody's here. They did a really, really nice job. Went through multiple iterations, talking to other people, getting feedback, and putting this together. And so you can see it up here. We've got some copies, big copies in the back. And what these things mean to me is, again, how do we want to treat each other when we go to school, when we go to work, when we interact with each other? I've done this, or I've experienced this at prior institutions. When I was provost at a different university, I would read it at new faculty orientation. It wasn't the community agreements for Chico State. It was a Hornet Honor Code at Sac State. And I wanted faculty members who were joining us to say, this is how we've agreed to treat each other, and so buy into it. But it only works if the community agrees to it. If everybody participates and understands this is what we are, how we're going to act and how we behave. And we hold each other and ourselves accountable to it. So I put this up here. I encourage you to look at it, think about it. If it's something that you're willing to sign on to, I think we got a couple copies back there that you can sign on to. If not, also cool. Think about it. If there's something in there you disagree with, we need to hear about that so that we can talk about it and adjust it. This is a conversation piece, but it's also one that I've seen, and I'm doing it now when I talk to new employees. I'm talking about these things. Again, how are we doing this? I'm going across the university to various different groups. We're going to go to the Academic Senate, Staff Council. I went to Government Affairs Council last week and talked to them about it. We're going to do this all over the place and roll it out as here's what we want to do. I find it very powerful to have community agreements and ways to interrupt each other. Ways to talk to each other and say, you know what, when you said that, I'm going to look at you even though you didn't say anything to me yet. When you said that, it made me feel like this. And then generally the response is, oh my goodness, I didn't mean to say it like that, or I didn't mean you to feel that way. And it works. So take some time to look at that. We got a couple of things. We're not going to talk that much. We got a couple of things we can talk about. This is one of them. I'm going to invite the provost, Leslie Cornick, to come up. I don't know if she knows this. She just gave me a scared look. You didn't know?
I did not know this. No.
All right,
But
so.
that's cool. I'm good with that.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't you just stay prepared then in case a question comes up? Because I think we were going to, I know there's lots of questions about the reimagining of academic affairs that are going around campus. So I want you to know those are also fair game to ask in here. Ask about this, ask about that, ask about anything you want to know. I don't know whether you want to talk about it for a minute or whether you just want to hang out and wait for a question. It's up to you.
I'll hang out and wait for a question.
All right. So we're going to say everything into the mic because everything's being recorded. The provost is going to hang out and wait for a question. Thank you. But that being said, anything is open. Anything you want to talk about, this is our opportunity to hear from you and your opportunity to hear from us about whatever you're wondering about. So I'm going to turn it over to Julia now, who apparently is going to give it very quickly to somebody else. All right.
All right, my friends, let's give a big round of applause from our amazing presidents that represent us on behalf of the university. Thank you. I would love to welcome you all once again. Let's get right to it. So my name is Kendra Wright. I'm the Director of Government Affairs. I have the pleasure of working with our amazing 17 elected student representatives that represent the entire student body. Additionally, we got councils and committees, and so if any of you are in this room that have an interest in joining our team, you can start with myself, you can start with our president. We have lots of opportunities, but for today's purpose, I would like to hand over the microphone to the actual brains in the organization. This is a student town hall, so I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to hand it over to the boss right here, Julia, who has really given a great vision, has a great plan for you. So without further ado, Julia, take it away.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia Baez. I'm the student intern at the president's office for my last semester of my senior year. So basically right now what we're going to do, I'm just going to turn it over to your guys' tables. You guys have an AS officer and a university team leader at your tables as well. We're going to talk for about 10 minutes. Chat with any questions or concerns you guys have. Talk to your peers, talk to the people who are at your tables, just get some ideas. If you don't get your ideas answered, you can write your answers on the piece of papers that are at your table, and your questions will get answered from me and the president at any given time. So I'm gonna let you guys chat with your tables right now, and we'll be walking around, so if you guys have any further questions, just let us know. So, get started.
All right, gonna ask that we wrap up about 10 seconds. Okay, that's always the hardest thing to do, is to stop these amazing conversations. So kudos to all of you for reaching out. I hope that you have met someone new, possibly at your table. I hope you've had some great conversations thus far. The intent of the open conversation was to hopefully generate some questions, some thoughts, some ideas. And so now we're turning the program into the question and answer period. So what we're going to do, myself and Julia will have the microphones. We like that President Perez and President Sullivan will stay at the front. Depending on the question, you two will work your magic to identify the response. And then we also have some amazing cabinet members and senior administration on behalf of the associated students, as well as the university and the audience as well. So here we go. Julia, I'm going to come to you, and audience members, by raise of hands. This is going to be real rough at the beginning. Oh, raise a pause. You're right. I wasn't the best listener. You got to raise your paw. And let's go to Julia's side of the room first. Is there anyone, by raise of paw, that would like to ask the first question? Oh. You got to curl the fingertips. Yeah, look at Perez. He's got the paw. There.
Do I start? That's so awkward. Hi. I love our community agreements, and I'm really proud that Chico State is enacting them. I know that student organizations that I am familiar with are utilizing them, speaking about them, thinking about them. But what I'm really curious about is how our upper admin are going to model those community agreements for us, or maybe teach people in our community who don't know what they mean, mostly because I think it's not one of the models, but it's mentioned. Accountability is a huge piece to these community agreements, and I feel like as a student, accountability isn't being modeled right now, and I don't want to take time going into examples unless you want me to, but I'm just curious, what does it look like for our admin to model these agreements?
So it's a weird question. It's not a weird question. It's a very good question.
Thank you.
But I am upper admin, so you could just ask me how I'm going to model it.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
Strong eye
I hope that you're seeing that. We're talking about it. I'm talking about it to a lot of different people. If you're experiencing something where you think I'm either not respecting people, having empathy for them, or showing integrity, I would ask you to let me know. Sometimes that's not that easy. I get that. It's not that, particularly in front of a crowd, things like that. But you can tell me on the side, anybody can. And my true belief is, I want to say 100%. Virtually 100% of the people we have on this campus that we get to work with, that we interact with, are pretty good people. And we're all trying to do very good things. We're all trying to do the best we possibly can for our students. We're trying to make it as welcoming a place as we can, where everybody can feel welcome and say what they think and feel respected and empathized with and treated with integrity. And my experience has been, when told or let know that somebody's behavior or actions are counter to that, it feels bad. And it doesn't, I mean, I feel bad when that's been told to me. And then I try to adjust and try to rectify what has happened. Within our cabinet, when we have meetings, we have cabinet norms. And we repeat them at the beginning of many of our meetings so that we say, here's how we're going to behave. And before the town hall yesterday, Provost Cornick showed these up on the screen and saying, here's how we want to behave. That's how we'll model it. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I just want to kind of add on to that question. Utilizing your student government as well. Your student representatives, they're in a lot of atmospheres where they're constantly meeting with administrators. We have our government affairs committee. I think that's definitely a good example of utilizing one of the standing committees that we host every other Friday from 12 to 1:30 in BMU 205, which is next door. But it's a great opportunity for you to display public opinion, express your concerns, and I meet with President Perez one-on-one bi-weekly, and so usually from time to time I'll give him like, hey, an agenda and say, hey, these are some of the concerns I'm hearing from students. These are some of the concerns I'm hearing from student representatives. Like, where are we at with this? So he definitely does a good job of being very specific on, like, you know, what he can and can't control at the moment and what suggestions to do moving forward. So continue to voice those concerns, and that's what we're here for.
Thank you.
Excellent. We're off to a great start. Let's go with this side of the room. Yes? Raise of our paws, right? Go ahead, I'll hold the mic.
I was going to say, like, one of the slides on there was about integrity. And I know with Chico State, we've kind of been working on becoming more AI advanced. And I think with that, there needs to be more transparency about where AI is being used. Because, for example, like, I've been seeing that, like, emails are being sent out that are using AI. And with that, like, also ads and other things, they're kind of using it as a tool. But I think there needs to be, like, either a statement or something that kind of specifies that AI is being used and in what capacity. And I think that's, again, like a transparency thing, because with AI, like, there are people who have moral issues because of, you know, like, ethics. And I think, like, if we are focusing on sustainability, like, if I'm taking a course, for example, I would like to know if AI is going to be used and in what capacity it's going to be used. And I think that's just something that's kind of been lacking as of right now.
So I really appreciate that. I don't know which emails you mean. If they're coming from me, I'm not using AI. I don't know, right? I don't write the first draft of it. But I like the idea of, and this is something we have to figure out. We have to figure out as a society, we have to figure out as a university, AI is not going away. We have to be able to use it as we work. It will make us more efficient. It'll help us do things we didn't think we could do before. All sorts of great things, but there are also a ton of ethical questions about them, and we have to grapple with those and work through those. And you and us and our faculty and our staff have to talk about all those things, because it's going to develop and it's going to change. Suppose I were to send out an email and I had AI help me write it, should I put a little footnote? AI induced? AI spawned? I don't know. AI helped? That's a great suggestion. Super helpful and interesting. I appreciate that. How we work it into our curriculum, how we work it into our classes, what you're going to learn and how you take it away, we have to energize our faculty. The faculty owns our curriculum and how they work in their classes, and we need to help them figure out how to do those things as well. I hope that's helpful.
Excellent. Thank you. Chris, do you have a follow-up comment, or can we go to the third question?
I guess my follow-up comment would be definitely like, just letting some of your student reps do sit on like some of these committees that deal with AI conversations and some of the policies that focus on academic integrity that just like kind of went through academic senate, which is whole nother realm of a breakdown. But it's pretty much the consultation to President Perez, university level wise, when it comes to policies and stuff like that come his way. But we do have student reps that are sitting on some of those committees and loving to hear your concerns about this, so they can echo those, because that's what we're here to do, is just to echo those concerns in those environments.
Yeah, let me put a plug in for your Associated Students reps that are sitting on those committees. They see you. You can rest your arm. You put your ball down. You're good. Your reps are doing a fantastic job. Right? It is hard sometimes to talk in front of a big crowd, particularly when there's the president standing here, and it's difficult. But when you talk to your student reps, they bring it up. Aiden's brought it up, AI, in an academic senate meeting. I don't remember if it was the last one or the one before that. And he did a really nice job talking about it. Spurred a very good conversation at the Senate. Chris sits on multiple different committees, and so they're doing a really nice job. If you don't feel comfortable directly coming to us, talk to your representatives. They bring it up, and they represent you really well.
Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important to know what representatives you're voting for and learn more about them, because they're going to support you moving forward.
Yeah.
All right. Great job. Next question.
What student resources are going to be cut or reduced?
So it's a interesting question, right? Because that implies that we have said we're cutting these things right now. Or reducing.
Yeah.
Right, so when I think of cutting budget towards. So that could be reducing or eliminating when we cut budget. The way our budget process works is annually we get an allocation from the state of California that goes to the CSU that comes to us. That's a year-long process in the negotiation and the development of that allocation. We don't know how much money we're going to have next year. We don't know how much we're going to get allocated next year. We know what the governor has proposed, which is a significant reduction to the CSU, about 8% for us. That's $12 million. Add to that some various other things, and we have a pretty significant, potentially worst-case scenario budget deficit that we need to address. We can address it over time because we have the luxury of having some reserves to make that happen. I appreciate the nodding. It helps me. Positive reinforcement's working. But we can't do it forever. We're utilizing our university budget committee to make recommendations, hang in there, to make recommendations as to how we ought to do that and over what time period should we close that deficit. We can close it two ways. We cut costs or we increase enrollment, right, which will bring in more revenue so we can have more money. So we're in the midst of, I'm going to get a recommendation from the University Budget Committee. Last year, they made the recommendation to reduce the division's allocations from the university by about $10 million total. You talked about student resources. Most of those are done through student affairs. And so we passed, some of that $10 million reduction was a reduction in the allocation that went to student affairs, and then student affairs leadership works on how are we going to balance our budget or use our reserves to be able to do it. At all times, so the answer is we don't know. We're not to that point yet. We haven't made any decisions. We don't know how much money we're going to have, so we certainly haven't made any decisions exactly what we're going to do. What we always do and what we always will do is figure out how do we best utilize our budget to support our students, to support your success, to support our colleagues, and to support our region. And we have to figure out how to do that as well as we possibly can. You got tons of hands that went up, so you all get to figure that out.
Okay,
just one.
Just to add in on that, any decisions that the university make has to be made within student consultation. There has to be a process where students are involved in the conversation no matter what. So, well, when it comes to budget.
It doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be, but we're included.
Yes,
it will be.
But it will be.
But
My commitment is there will be involvement.
There will be involvement.
Yes.
So, but President Perez has done a good job of ensuring that. I do sit on the University Budget Committee, and so does the Vice President of Business and Finance of AS.
Right.
All right, we're coming over here. I'm going to hold the mic. You want to state your name and ask your question?
My name is Janelle Hall. I'm pretty involved on campus. I'm the microbiology president, and I'm one of the board members of the chemistry club. And I'm also a student staff. I work in student life and leadership. And with reimagining Chico, I know I'm not the only one concerned. Us as a whole, we want to know what's going to happen moving forward, so everything is transparent and we're involved and we know what's going on. Because pretty much everything is very vague and we're not getting complete answers. And with the state that the country is moving in, we want to know that here at Chico, we still have a community, and we came to Chico because we love the community and we love our staff, and we want to know what's going on moving forward so we are not left in the dark.
I appreciate the question. I imagine others do too, because we're getting a lot of snaps. I am going to turn it over to the provost. But I also want you to recognize that, as with the question about what programs might be affected by our budget, this is not a done process, and you all are participating in it now, right now, and as you should. So I appreciate the question. Let me turn it over to Provost Cornick.
Hi, thank you very much for the question. How many of you participated in the expo, the student expo? Some. So not everybody got to hear all of the conversation that happened last week. And actually, and I would really appreciate your help in communicating this out, because we have actually, after my leadership team met today, my Provost Advisory Council, we're still moving forward with the process, but we're slowing down a little bit. So that we can have more time to have more conversations, including more conversations with students about what our next steps are. So there will not be any expos next week. And there are going to be some emails that are going to come out probably tomorrow with updates on what the timeline and the process is going to be going forward. But we have taken all of the feedback that we got from the expos and the feedback forms. There was a town hall yesterday. We have a recording of yesterday's town hall that we are going to be posting on the Reimagine website. So if you didn't get to watch the town hall yesterday, you can watch that on the website. It'll probably take us a couple days to get that up, because we want to put the slides up with that and put that all together and make it look pretty. And then my leadership team started having conversations today about taking that feedback that's come through all of those various venues to look at what's the next iteration of proposals. A lot of the feedback that we heard loud and clear that we've already started to incorporate is things like people want to see the word science or sciences in college names. We're working on that. There were a similar conversation about the humanities. There were conversations about wanting to have more detail about what the concepts are, what the potential budget savings are with each proposal, and some of that other detail. So you're going to see a lot more of that come out in the next iteration. Your feedback has been really, really important and really, really helpful. We had a good conversation here just a few minutes ago at the table. And the thing I want to reiterate, and President Perez says this all the time, and it's exactly how we feel about this process in academic affairs too, is that everything that we're trying to do, our first goal is to make it so that we provide you with the educational experience that you expect when you come to Chico State, in a way, and the community that you expect, because we do have a really amazing community here, in a way that is sustainable for the long term, that supports your goals post-graduation, and that supports our service area and our region and the state of California. Those are our North Stars.
Thank you. Let me follow up a little bit. Budget times like this are extremely anxiety producing. It's extremely anxiety producing for everybody involved. Right? That I've said publicly, we have a $32 million budget deficit we have to somehow try to address. That's hard. It's hard work, it's hard things and hard decisions that get made out of that. And it creates stress, anxiety, pain, hurt feelings, all sorts of, just in the conversations about it. In the past, we've done things like this at other universities, and then the budget gets better. And then we have to undo the hard conversations we've just had. The reason I was saying we haven't made final decisions, We're going to lobby the state of California not to cut us $12 million. We might win. We might get that to happen. We might not. We don't know. We don't know what our final allocation is going to be. It's irresponsible of us to not plan, and that's what we're trying to do. But what I want to assure you is we come to work, all of us, we come to work every single day, and the only thing we're trying to do is have you have a great experience on campus and have you have a great educational experience. And we have to do that within our means. We have to do that within our budget, and so we have to figure out how to do that. And sometimes that figuring out gets a little messy. And the best way to clean that messy up, in my opinion, is to talk it out. Right? To talk to each other and say, here's what sometimes I was trying to remember, I was just in a meeting and I said something and they thought the exact opposite of what I thought I said. Right? And it was just and they said that, and then we were able to clear it up. So I appreciate the questions, and I appreciate Joe being here, because this is the opportunity where we can try to talk things through. So the question was, what's going to happen moving forward with transparency? It's going to be extreme communication. We're going to have multiple opportunities to participate in all these conversations, and then we'll work through what that means. So what would you like to have happen? Let's get a microphone. You gotta, the people on the recording can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Like, what's your communication for us? Like, how are you going to translate it for us so we all know, as everybody that is a Chico State student, like what's going to happen moving forward?
So if you're asking about how we're going to communicate the information, I'm going to ask you a question back, but we will continue doing it the way we've been doing it, via email, town halls, any way that's useful. I asked somebody the other day, we should do it as a TikTok. I don't actually know how to do that. So what would be the best way for this information to be communicated to students? That's the question I was going to ask back.
Emails, website, clearly stating what's going on, dates, times, so we know. So we don't have to go through, like, all of us as students are busy, so we don't have to go through like different links and look through 200 documents that we don't have time to. We just want clearly and transparently so we can easily access this information.
Got it. We will do that.
Yes. Just for the sake of time, because we got a lot of students in here, and I feel like there's been a lot of talking on our end, but I would definitely want to hear more questions from y'all. So I do encourage that moving forward that we're clear and concise on our responses, just so we can get to as many students as possible. I want to hear y'all. So
I was clear. I don't know that I was concise.
He was clear, but I mean, we got.
All right, message received. I hear you, Chris.
But that gentleman right there has been raising his hand for a long time, so.
Wait, I need to go first. Sorry.
Oh.
She's been waiting longer.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. Since the administration their intention is the student body in our education, are you considering reducing the salaries of people that work here, like yourself, that's like $466,000? Are you thinking about reducing like your salary, the vice president's salary, the province salary, to compensate, to help as well? Because $500,000 is a substantial amount of money.
My salary is public.
Yes, it is public.
That's how you know how
that
much
is how
it is.
I know.
And I'm not contradicting you.
Okay.
I don't know if you're done. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's my question.
Okay. We're going to consider everything. My salary is not determined by me. My salary is determined by the trustees and the chancellor. We will consider everything with all of our employees the same way, to treat everybody as fairly as we possibly can. That being said, we have to close a $32 million budget deficit. That's not going to come from me cutting my salary. That's going to come from us redoing things and doing things differently on our campus, or by growing enrollment and increasing revenue that comes in. So you make sure you do it in the microphone.
So no, you're.
So no, am I going to cut my salary? That is not my intention.
Not cut,
I'm not intending to cut
reduce.
anybody's salary.
But what about the people that are being like? The intention is that there's seven colleges and there's 7 people working. So you want 4 people to be doing that job, and you're cutting their. Sorry, you know what? Never mind.
No, I'm happy to talk about what you're talking about. What we're trying to do is the vast majority of our costs are made up by personnel, myself included. What we're trying to do in the event that we need to reduce costs, which we're going to need to reduce costs unless, again, we raise our revenues enough to counterbalance our projected deficit, is do it in a way when people leave by their choice, we don't replace them. or they leave for whatever reason, we don't necessarily replace them, so that we can lower the number of people working. If we look at our statistics, we have fewer students per faculty than we had in 2019. We have fewer staff per faculty. No, fewer students per staff and fewer students per MPP. And so in order to fit within our means, we probably need to have fewer people. And we're trying to do it in a way that's different than other institutions, because we're in a position where we can, where we're letting people leave by natural attrition and then not replacing them. We have a dean that's overseeing 2 colleges in the same way. So as we do consolidations, and we've done it in a number of instances across the university, as somebody has left, we've tried to consolidate those positions. And then we've also compensated those individuals because now they're doing more work. That's our strategy. We have reserves to be able to make that happen, but we don't have them forever. And that's why we have to make sure that we can address those things.
Okay, I'm coming over here. Would love to share a little intermission comment as well. Please know that we have refreshments, we have sweet treats, we definitely have some more burritos. All of you are being amazing and minding your manners, but I'm also going to give you the green light. If you did want to do a refresh over here, please do so. And to me, I don't think it's rude. I think it's actually pretty smart. So I'm going to come to you with a question.
Help yourself.
We could dance. You want to dance?
Okay. Hi, my name's Ryan, and perhaps I could also touch on concerns of the last person who asked a question. But to me, as a student, it sounds like the 2 ways that budget cuts are handled are to reduce the amount of, I guess, things that are offered to the students, or to hike tuition, both of which are bad for students, both of which negatively impact students. So the principal thing I'm concerned about is making sure that budget cuts are handled in a way that doesn't negatively impact students. There is a huge wealth disparity from the top earners in the state, in the country, and the people who are going to school, going to college. Usually poor people, usually people who can't afford things. Why are budget cuts producing, why are budget cuts negatively impacting students when there are better targets for that money to come from?
Chris, do you want to answer that? No, I'm kidding. Somewhat what you said, there's 2 ways to get rid of a budget deficit, and you asked the question really well, so I think, Ryan? Yeah. So there's 2 ways to get rid of a budget deficit. You decrease costs, or you increase revenues. We're going to try to do both. We've worked really hard to increase enrollment, and it's working. Enrollment is going up. That's increasing the money that's coming in, and we will continue to do that. But we can also try to reduce costs. If we reduce anything on this campus, we think it negatively impacts students. Everything we do here is to try to have you have a good experience. Everybody who works here has that as our mission, is to try to have you have a good experience. And so we're going to, if we have to reduce costs and if we have to reduce our allocations, what we do is we very thoughtfully do it in a way that minimizes any negative impacts it's going to have on you, our students. That's our goal, that's our job, that's what we do every day. So that's our commitment. But there's no sugarcoating. If we can't spend as much money, we're going to have to do less of something. We just have to figure out how to make that impact you as little as possible negatively.
Okay, I'm coming to you, B. I'm going to hold the mic right up here.
Hello, my name is Beatrix Tini. I'm the president of the Anthropological Society. I work in 4 different offices across campus, so I'm fairly involved here. We at our table had a very conducive conversation as to the transparency issue that Janelle was bringing up, as in terms of town hall announcements, expos that are happening, just things that students should be aware of but are not being aware of. And you, President Perez, you said that you're going to stick with what you've been doing, which is the email thing, but you're thinking of expanding. You brought up the TikTok idea.
Whatever's going to work. That's what I want to know.
So we had a couple of recommendations.
Awesome.
Right now on Canvas, if you open it up, there is an option to kind of take the AI survey that is through every student's Canvas portal. I think it would be really nice for things like this that students should be involved with and our voices should be heard through to put up a across-the-board announcement through Canvas as well, because then we as students, we're checking that daily, right?
Cool.
Multiple times daily.
Awesome. Done.
A lot of students, this stuff gets lost in our emails because we get so many emails from around campus of
I
just
understand.
all sorts of things, right? I think Cats Connect would be great, and I know that some expos were put on Cats Connect, but it just hasn't been consistent. So if we could put more on there and just be very consistent about it, that would be great. I think communication between the colleges, because me and Aiden, we both found out about the last expo from our administrator in the Department of Anthropology. Otherwise, we wouldn't have really known about it. So if we can get better communication across through the administrators to trickle down to staff and faculty so that they can also announce it in person at classes, I think that would be really useful. And yeah, those are our recommendations.
All right, so here's the one I can do right now. A good one, good ones. And I will tell you, this is an evergreen challenge. All right, is how to get information to students in ways that you get it when you need it and you can digest it. Because as you said, you're getting a lot of information from all sorts of different sources. So a number of years ago, I was walking across campus with a student, and we were having this very same conversation. How do we get information? And he was saying, I don't even know when football games are. And we were literally walking past the sign that said there's a football game on Saturday. And so that was obviously not the way to get the information to him. It's not that student's fault that he didn't know. It's our fault because we weren't getting it to the students in the ways that they were getting it when they need it. And so I love the Canvas idea. I'm going to say super confidently we're going to do that, but I'm going to assume that it can happen. Thank you. Cats Connect, great idea. We can't say to our faculty, you all need to announce this. We can give them the information and ask them to and see if they will. But those are all great suggestions, so I appreciate them. Christopher. You got to speak up if you want to. You don't have to. But
You say Christopher?
I did. Is that your full name?
No. My full name, I'm going to announce it to the world. Oh my gosh, I'm nervous. My full name is Christian.
Christian.
So
well, all right,
I'm a
Christian.
Christian. Yes, I'm a Christian.
All right, all right.
Yes,
so
the Chris is just the nickname. Yes, I know your mind is blown. I see my representative
thank
Jaden
you.
back there.
I
Like,
appreciate.
what?
I appreciate it.
But
so I don't want to put you on the spot, but I want to make sure you have.
Oh
an
yeah, no, of
opportunity.
course. I appreciate the opportunity to be very inclusive about this conversation, and I think I really agree with that. I think the avenues that you suggested should be taken into consideration. I think that overall, if you're hitting all those check boxes, then more students will show up. And we do all that we can. Of course, if y'all haven't followed our AS Chico Instagram, make sure y'all do that. AS Chico at AS Chico. You know?
Nobody nodded. So
so make sure y'all tapping in with our AS Chico Instagram. That we host events. AS Presents, shout out to AS Presents. They're not in here, but shout out to them. They host a lot of events on the behalf of the students, and they're used through student dollars. So you gotta make sure that you're taking advantage of that. The well downstairs, that's student dollars. That's ran by students. So AS is for the students, by the students. So a lot of that communication and that bridge through like how we utilize our facilities is from the students, by the students. Okay? All right, that's my pitch. Sorry.
Okay, coming to you, Julia.
sorry.
Hi, my name's Sean Moore. So in my English class, we were kind of talking about how you guys were planning to restructure the all the colleges with the consolidation regarding all the budget cuts. I was wondering how long that would last before things could potentially get back to normal, where you could reinstate like the science college, for example, if that is excluded.
Yeah, so I appreciate the question. I'm going to rephrase it just a touch, because I want to make clear what we're doing. This is a conversation that's been going on for over a year. And it started at a time where we knew we had a budget deficit. We didn't know it was as big as we project it to be now, again, pending how it plays out. When it started, I was talking with the provost, and she was saying, let's review what we're doing. Let's look at how we're structured. Let's look at how we're delivering things to our students. And is it what they need? Is it the best way to be structured? One potential answer is, yeah, it's perfect. Another is, well, maybe we make this small tweak. Another could be, it's a giant tweak. The only really budget thing that I put into the thing, and I'm going to ask Leslie to disagree if this is different, was it can't cost us more. Right? It can't cost us more. We still had a budget deficit. And so it's this, the initial conversation wasn't driven by budget changes. It's how do we best structure ourselves? And I can think of ways that we could do it that might better serve our students, better serve our region, but I don't want to think of it. It's not that I'm lazy. It's I want other people. I want you all to be involved in it. And I think Leslie's done a pretty nice job. The provost's done a pretty nice job of talking about it. How long does it take? So this is the middle of the conversations, right? So decisions haven't been made. This is the middle of the conversations. And as the conversations are happening, things are changing. Potential plans are being altered and changed. And so that's going to happen for a while. And then it takes a little while to implement it. So this is a long process. If it turns out that there's something that we can do better, that's the gist of it. That's the word I'm looking for. Does that help? Thank you.
Okay, we have an online question from the Zoom.
One of our online attendees would like to know, what are the primary costs the university has?
Period? Or question mark? The primary costs are personnel. Jamie, what percentage of our costs are personnel? Jamie had to step out. I'm going to say it's about 80%. At least 80% of what we spend are on personnel at the university. We also spend a reasonable amount on utilities. We spend on operations costs, paper, pens. We spend a lot on pens. Too much is what I hear. We spend on travel. We spend on professional development to send people to conferences to get to be better at what they do. We spend money on insurance. But the vast majority of what we spend is on personnel, on either salaries or benefits, medical benefits, retirement, things like that.
csuchico.edu/BUD. Download it all.
csuchico.edu/BUD. B-U-D. It's our budget webpage. Our entire budget is there. You can see exactly what we spend it on by division and by area.
Fantastic. We're going to go with the next question. If you don't mind stating your name and your question, I'll hold the mic.
Oh, sure. Hi, my name's Anna. I'm a graduate student in the biology department. I want to know why the word sustainability has been completely removed from the Chico State playbook, whereas in previous years it was a core pillar and mission of our university.
Great question. As with the community agreements, I put together a work group or a task force to work on the playbook over the last spring, evolved into the summer, and then into the fall. They developed the playbook about the questions that I wanted to have answered and talked about at the university. Why do we exist? How do we behave? How are we going to succeed? What do we do? And what do we need to do next? Like, what's the first thing we need to do? They wrote those up, and I actually only changed like 1 or 2 words. They didn't have, that was not in there. I totally understand. I think it's implied in there with a couple of phrases that's in there, because I actually asked, sustainability is not in here. And they said, well, we think we've covered it with this. It is a commitment we have as a university. We're not going to turn into what's the non-sustainable, the opposite of sustainable or irresponsible, whatever the opposite is. We will continue to be a university which works towards sustainability. It tries to have as little impact on our climate and on our environment as we possibly can. I also understand there's a move, and I don't know what happened at your all's last meeting, but there's a move to put a referendum forward and have it asked to put the word sustainability in. Awesome. Right? That is students using their voice to talk about what's important to them, communicating that to the university, and then we switch, we change. These are all living documents. They should reflect how we feel and how we behave. So it apparently, certainly given the question, you're not the first person who's asked me this, certainly given those questions, the intent of having some of those statements in there did not resonate with those that feel like sustainability rightfully should be one of our core priorities.
Can I add on to that? To continue that conversation, we do have our Commissioner of Sustainability as your student rep that focuses on sustainability right here, Aiden White. And continue, if you want to continue to have this conversation, ask him questions, and he can echo those concerns as well. Just wanted to give him a shout out right there. Thank you.
Sweet. All right. Do you want to go ahead and state your name?
Hi, my name is Etta. I'm a representative from one of our College of Natural Science clubs, the Environmental Science and Geology Club. I want to congratulate the school on the Choose Chico Day that we had this last weekend. I was tabling for our department and talking to prospective students, trying to boost our enrollment because we know that that's a massive part of our revenues. It's how we get money into the school, and it's also how we build the educated society that we want to see. And during my advertising, a lot of the things that I talk about are the small class sizes, about the intimacy that we have between staff and the students who are like peers and the prospective students. One of my main concerns with the reimagining of Chico State is, and one of the questions I have is, what will the structure of colleges and departments look like, specifically in regards to lecturers? I know that lecturers are sometimes overlooked, a lot of times in financing and sometimes in just like the way that we talk about our staff at Chico State and at plenty of other universities, but I'm talking specifically about Chico State. And I know that lecturers kind of bear a lot of the grunt, bear a lot of the weight of a lot of the classes. They are lecturing to our classes and offering opportunities, offering mentorship, offering guidance to the students who are sometimes early into their career or even a lot of times late into their career. I'm wondering what kinds of things, what kinds of promises can be made to those lecturers and those people who are maybe part-time at the school but are still invaluable in creating the school that we want and the structure of our community.
Very good question. First, let me start off. Congratulations. A lot of people here, it's not surprising, right, because you're here. A lot of you are involved in clubs, you're involved in organizations, you're involved in student government. Good for you. That's how you will improve your experience. If you're not, I'm looking at the camera, so if you're not involved in a club or an organization, get involved in a club or an organization. You will be better off for it. Also, thank you for being at Choose Chico Day. We had over 4,700 people here. We had how many students, potential students? Over 1,700. Yes, I don't know. But we had a lot. And they had a great experience because this is a great place. I want to tweak a little bit about what you said. Is it's important to bring new students in, and you did say because it brings in more revenue. The most important reason to bring more students in is because we think that's our job, is to give our students a great experience. If there's more students, there's more of an opportunity to do that. It makes us proud of what we're doing, and your experience, I think, is better when there's more people here. But your question was about our lecturers, and I will differ with the concept of they don't get thought about. Our lecturers do get thought about. I've been a department chair for 2 different departments. I've been a dean, I've been a vice provost, I've been a provost. My entire job in those jobs was to figure out how do we put class schedules together that are going to benefit our students, that we structure them in ways that you can learn as much as you possibly can and you can develop as much as you possibly can. Sometimes, I was an economics department chair and I taught a lot of economics classes. Sometimes that meant I taught a 400 student introductory macroeconomics class, partially so we could have our economic research methods class be 15 students. And so we were balancing small classes with big classes because we had to make sure that we could pay the bills, that we had enough money to be able to offer those classes. Our lecturers are crucial to what we do. They teach at least half of our students in our classes. They do a tremendous job. They're very dedicated to your learning, to your well-being. They talk to you every day. You may not know who's a lecturer and who's not, and that's the way it should be. They're here doing the very same job, doing a great job, trying to help you. So when we look at what we're doing with our budget, we do not minimize the impact it's going to have on any of our employees. Some of that may be a negative impact, and that hurts. We don't want to do that. We don't like doing that. It's very bad for the individual, and it doesn't help us do our jobs better, but we have to be able to fit in. So you asked for a promise. Our promise is we're going to continue doing the best we can for our students within our budget, and we're going to do it in ways that minimizes the impact on you and minimizes the impact on them as best we possibly can. But we can't promise there's not going to be a negative impact on people.
Okay, coming to you, Julia, that side of the room. Do you have a question?
Yeah. So for the Reimagining Chico I understand you wanted to implement this by next semester.
Nope.
No, not anymore.
No,
Okay,
that was never the intention.
Oh, okay. That's what I heard, so I wasn't 100% sure. So,
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That was my question.
Yeah. So, but that's also the beauty of having an open forum, right? Is you can ask and we can answer, and if it's what's on the website, well, then if that's the way it's being read, then it's not clear what we're saying.
So, and we have made some changes to the website to make that more clear, and we're still working on iterations of what additional information we can put on the website. So, what's going to happen in the fall, depending on how well we do getting through the rest of the process this semester, is that we will bring a proposal to the Academic Senate. There's a consultation process that happens with the Academic Senate. And if you read what it says on the website, it says implementation year, 25-26. Depending on how far we go in terms of the complexity of the changes that we make, it can take a year to a year and a half to fully implement this kind of a restructuring. So there will probably be some things that are happening within the faculty already that they're working on in terms of working on curriculum and working on programs, things that happen all the time that faculty do that are going through the process right now that could be implemented in the fall. That's separate from the Reimagine initiative. And there will be some changes that we'll be able to make. For example, we're thinking about how we might reorganize within my office team and staff that we could implement sooner. But any changes we would make to the colleges and the library, international, graduate studies, professional and continuing education, all those, the big units across campus will take for sure a year. So we wouldn't really see anything until fall of 26.
Right now, if you go on there, it says fall 2025, nothing about 2026, implementation. So that's what students are talking about.
Yeah, and I appreciate you clarifying. And so that's just lack of clarity, right? It's not worded well. And so we get a question, and now we try to answer it, and we fix it. This is a great process. Thank you, and thank you.
Okay, I'm coming over here. Would you like to state your name and your question, please?
Hi, my name is Jose Gonzalez. I'm the Vice President for the Council of Graduate Students. Thank you for the burritos, by the way. They smell wonderful.
No problem.
So, thanks, Chris. So at the State of the University, there was mention about how there's going to be a reduction in library hours, financial aid, how there was a reduction in student hiring, how there was 250 class sections cut, as well as about 70 in faculty and staff members being let go. In addition to that, with the increase in tuition for undergraduate students, which is, I think, close to $2,000, and the increase in graduate student tuition, that's about $2,400 over the next 5 years. With all of that in mind, how are students being prioritized through that? I understand that there has to be reduction in some stuff, and there also has to be an increase in revenue. But what's the rationale behind these decisions? In addition, how can students in the future have a say about these sorts of decisions? And not just those in like clubs and stuff. How can the everyday student feel like they have a say in this sort of decision that directly impacts us?
Yeah, thank you. Ryan? Jose, thank you. You referenced things that I talked about in the State of the University address. Most of what you said is what we've done over the last 2 years, right? And we had deficits last year. We had deficits the year before that. And that means that we don't have enough money to do what we're doing. And so we have to do less of that. The vast majority of what we spend money on is exactly those things. So if we have a $32 million budget deficit, that's between a 10 and a 15% of our budget. And we can't cut 10 or 15% of our budget without impacting our class schedule. So we do it by reducing the number of sections. We reduce low enrolled sections. We try to take a course, and I won't know the right course numbers or which one, but maybe there's a course that has 20 sections. Now maybe there's 10. But we always want to make sure that there's enough seats for our students to be able to progress and to be able to graduate in the majors that they want to have. So we try to minimize the impact by saying, well, maybe you offer this course every other semester instead of every semester, so that you have the opportunity to take those courses. That's how we try to take all of that into consideration. Even with the tuition increases. Right? If you look at the state of the university that talks about why do we have a $32 million projected deficit? It's $12 million for the state of California cutting our budget, which may not have, who knows, right? That's still to be determined how much that is. There's somewhere between $6 and $8 million in compensation and benefits. There's various other things. And then there was at the bottom, $7 million more tuition. Right? So without the increase in tuition and without the enrollment growth, that budget deficit would be $39 million. So you're right, tuition is going up, fees are going up, costs are going up. Everything we're doing is more costly, and that's how they balance out. We think everything we do here benefits our students, and so it's very hard for us to reduce what we're doing and not have it impact you in some way. We try to minimize those negative impacts by strategically working. Last part of your question, I know I'm going long. Last part of your question was how can students have a voice? This is part of it, right? And so participate and encourage your colleagues to participate. It's going to be on Canvas on how to participate. So students who even aren't in clubs or organizations will hear about it, and they should speak up and let us hear it.
Also use your student reps.
Use your student reps.
All right, we are rounding the corner towards the top of the hour. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and say 2 more questions. I have one over here. He's been waiting patiently. So if you want to say your name.
Yeah, it's Sean with the Orion. There's been a lot of incendiary and threatening rhetoric coming from the federal government regarding student protest on campus. I was wondering what administration is going to do to protect our First Amendment rights.
That's a great question. So I don't want to reference a particular statement I saw this morning, but yeah. We're really excited when you exercise your First Amendment rights. That is what we want you to do. You're super smart. You have passion, you have feelings about those things, and you share them, and that's awesome. And there's a few things I'll lose my job over by choice, and this is one of them, right? You will have your First Amendment rights protected on this campus. That layers in our time, place, and manner policy, and we need to make sure that we can continue operating as a university, that we do it, you do it, and we help you do it in a way. And I've seen the work of our free speech facilitators work really hard to help you voice your passions and your thoughts, and we will continue to protect those things. We will continue to make it so that it is possible for you to share those things. That's our commitment. I don't know whether you wanted specific examples of how we're going to do it or whether you just wanted my commitment. Our commitment is we will continue to have your ability to voice your First Amendment rights, to exercise them, and we will help support you in doing those in ways that are going to be productive.
There's been a lot of pushback even from GAC about the time, place, and manner policy. Are you doing anything to readdress that?
So most of the time, place and manner policy is a system-wide policy. We know that's under conversations. There was an addendum that we added at Chico State, which in essence implemented much of what we already had on policy. We've been open to conversations about how that can be changed, if needs to be changed, and we continue to be open to that.
I can answer that question because that's more of a me question. You said that there was a pushback on GAC when it came to the time, place, and manner policy. It wasn't necessarily pushback. It was more clarification on exactly what we're doing as a collective and being clear on, what we wanted to push out to the students. Because there was a lot of confusion last semester on the time, place, and manner addendum and the tabling protocol. I think that was very clear, and it did stir up a lot of concerns. And so this semester, we're learning from that, and we want to just make sure that we're clear and also make sure that it's being pushed out through the Government Affairs Committee properly. So no pushback, just more clarification. He said that it will be on the next agenda, the next GAC meeting. That's Aaron Schwartz, our Executive Vice President for Associated Students. But it'll be on the agenda for our next GAC meeting, which will be on the 28th, March 28th, from 12 to 1:30 in BMU 205.
And thank you for what you're doing at the Orion. My wife's a reporter, a really strong advocate for journalists, and you're doing a good job, so thank you.
All right, as scheduled, we're coming up to our last question.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Maridit. I'm proud to be an alumni here. Did 6 years, wasn't traumatized enough to come back for 2 more for my grad, for my master's. As somebody who's been here for a long time, in your State of the University address, we just talked about reduction of student hiring, reduction of library hours. I guess I want to understand how how you're taking student voices into account if you're lowering in opportunities for students to work on campus. That's less money for students. Housing is increasing here in Chico. If I'm not getting into the library because I have work during the mornings or family or whatever, then I'm not really succeeding in my classes, right? So it's this ongoing feedback loop of like the resources aren't available to me. So how exactly are students being taken into account for that if we don't have the resources to be able to carry out what we want to do? And at the end of the day, I mean, if I'm not passing my classes, right, I'm extending my semesters and I'm having to pay more for tuition. And right now, politically, right, we're less financial aid, there's gonna be less resources. This is a Hispanic serving institution, a DAI school. So with that, taking that into account as well, then how are those students also being helped? Because if it's this ongoing feedback loop of, I have to spend money, but you don't have money, but then I don't have money, how are we helping each other out? And how are you taking student voices into account for that?
Yeah, so couple things I'll address directly. Because you did talk about there's a lot of things going on. I might not address it totally directly, but I'm going to get pretty close to it. There's a lot of things going on. This university will always be committed to diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are always going to be welcoming everybody on campus. We're always going to be working to make sure everybody knows that and has a place and can feel comfortable here. Well, that'd be a question I would ask you. I'm committing to it, and I hope that you're seeing that on this campus in ways that we can show it. The library. So how do we do that? Right? So the library says we don't have enough money to maintain these hours of operation. One thing we could do is give more money. It means we're taking money from somewhere else. Right? So suppose we don't do that. Well, then we ask the library, which are the most populated hours? And they took off some hours where hardly anybody was in the library. It doesn't mean nobody was in the library, but hardly anybody was in the library, or not as many people as other hours. Libraries are, libraries are a challenging building because there's a lot of nooks and crannies. It's not a great place when there's not a lot of people there sometimes to be able to maintain. So what we did is, what do we call it, the Grove? There's a little area on the first floor. Is that what I get the name right? Yeah. I think we either extended those hours or we maintained those hours so that even if the rest of the library wasn't open, there was a place to go study. Because as you said, we know sometimes you need a place to go study. That's how we try to figure out what should we do. How do we take limited resources and maximize its ability to help you be successful? So we ask our librarians, where are the people? That's how. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to do surveys about which hours do you want the library open. Maybe we'll send it out through Canvas. But that's just these are the conversations that are exactly on point. So I appreciate the question. I hope what you're seeing is we're trying to take limited resources and use them as well as we can to support you all.
All right, we have officially turned the corner. Chris, I'm coming your way.
Okay. One quick thing.
No, we're not done yet. I'm turning it to you for your closing statements.
Closing statements. All right. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You just sharing. Many of our guests have places to be,
Yeah.
so tight up. Chris, you're first. President Perez, close us out. Ready? Go.
Well, it's been a beautiful afternoon. I just want to thank everyone that took the time out of the Tuesday afternoon to come here and definitely express your concerns. Although not all questions were able to be asked because this is a patient process, I definitely wanted to encourage y'all to continue to utilize me as a resource, utilize our student representatives as a resource to echo your concerns. Also, if you're interested in the future and getting involved into one of the highest levels of student leadership, if you look back at that wall right there, there's a bunch of pictures. That could be you if you're interested. Just saying. But this is a great opportunity. Continue to be great. Continue to express, how we can do better. Thank you.
So thank you, Chris, for organizing this. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, everybody that was involved. There's a lot of people that go into this. Don't leave yet, because you asked me a good question about how do we exhibit community agreements. Here's how you do it. Somebody says something back, and then we apologize. So I said the wrong name for Christian, and that's disrespectful. It is, but Christian said that's not actually my name. And so now we exhibit the other side is, I'm super sorry. I apologize. No, I mean this sincerely. I apologize for not calling you by the right name. Okay. That's how we do it.
I gave a name reveal.
Yeah. Thank you.
But lastly, grab food. There's food here. Grab some burritos. Eat. Take some with you. Take it till it's gone. Please.
And next, if anybody had a question they wanted to ask me and didn't get an answer, come ask me now.
Thank y'all so much.